So in 8th grade I used to read during class a lot. At the time I was reading an Artemis Fowl book, and for some reason I had 2 copies of the same book. So one day in my English class we were reading this other book, which I had already finished reading 3 days earlier. I was reading my own book, and when it was finally my turn to read, I had no idea where we were. So the teacher took my book away, I found my spot, read the part and passed it to the next person to start reading. So after I read my part, I took out my second copy of Artemis and picked up right where I left off. Skip a few minutes ahead, gets back to my turn to read, and again I don't know where we are. So teacher takes a look at me, sees the book in my hands, then back to her desk, obviously confused for a second. But shrugs it off knowing it's me she's dealing with. I've caused similar problems like this before, takes my second book and puts it on her desk, and makes me read my part. Now my friend that sat 2 chairs down from me was also reading Artemis at the same time as me, and with a quick look to him he knew exactly what I was planning. He took it out and passed it over without hesitation. I opened to a random spot and just pretended like I was reading. At this point it was just to mess with my teacher. So skip forward again and my teacher sees me with the book again and says, "How many of those do you have?" I gave my smartass remark as enough. She took away that book, too. But now at this point I was out of books, and the rest of my class knew it. But the teacher didn't know I was out. So she continued with her lesson, and another friend of mine took 2 of her books and switched out 2 of the Artemis books on her desk to make them look like they were still there. He passed the books slowly around the room, one at a time, until they were back to me. Then I took one out, opened to a random spot and just kept it open, waiting to get caught. I silently signaled to a few people in class and they started laughing. The teacher looked at what they were laughing at and saw me with yet another book. She looked at her desk where there were seemingly 3 Artemis books and saw me with a 4th. She took it, walked back to her desk, put it down, turned around, and saw me with the second book that got taken back on my desk. The teacher thought she was going to win this game but underestimated my teamwork with my classmates. So the second she came over to me to take the seemingly 5th book, another classmate took back the other 2 books from her desk and split them up, sending one to me one way, and the other another way. The teacher was very flustered and laughing hysterically at this point, and there was no more teaching going on. The entire class was also going ballistic trying to see who would win. It was just a game of how many books does this one 8th grader have? So at the end of the class she thought she had taken 11 books from me. I took pity on her and told her what was really happening. I told her that I had already read the first book, and all the teamwork that went on. We were both laughing and making jokes. In the end she agreed to let me read my own books as long as I kept track of the actual book we were reading. Meaning, I ask the person next to me tell me when it's my turn and they point out my spot to read so I don't actually have to keep track.